Namaste. I am Dr. Anish. I am an Ayurvedic doctor, and now today we are going to discuss about the introduction and history of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is a science which deals with the health, and Ayurveda is the indigenous system of medicine which is practiced in India from Vedic period and even more behind that. Ayurveda, it is having the history from 5000 plus years old, and we have the evidence of Ayurveda or we have the scriptures of Ayurveda from 1500 BC to 500 BC time period. That means the Vedic period when the Vedas were written, and we get the references first references of Ayurveda from the Vedas itself, and that is from the Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda is one among the four Vedas. As we know, like the Vedas are four in number. We have Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharva Veda, which are the basic texts of Indian philosophy or the Hindu philosophy. So, these texts are the religious texts which are prevalent in the Vedic society or for the Vedic community. So, the Rig Veda, it includes mantras. Mantras means like chantings or slokas or verses which has got some particular vibrations which gives some vibration to the person who is chanting and also for the listener, and also it leaves some vibration in the atmosphere where the chanting is done. That is why when we like enter a ceremony hall or when we enter a puja hall, we feel some positive vibration in our body and mind. So, the reason is the chantings leave some positive vibration in the atmosphere. So, Rig Veda includes this kind of mantras or chantings which give some vibrations, some positive vibrations to the persons and also for the atmosphere. The second Veda, Yajurveda. Yajurveda is a Veda or is a scripture which includes the explanations about the offerings and sacrifices for pleasing the gods. So, as we know, like in Hindu religion, we have like got crores of gods are there. So, for each department there is a god, like for a rain there is a god, for fire there is a god, for wind there is a god. So, to please each god or to please for a particular reason, we have the ceremonies, the offerings what we have to give is explained in the Yajurveda. The third Veda is Samaveda. Samaveda includes melodies or bhajans or kirtans or in a song form the praisings of gods. So, it is also again religious, but this is more for a common person to sing and to please the god. That is Samaveda. And the last one, Atharva Veda, it is a record of the practical information or practical sciences which are practiced in that society, in the Vedic society. So, it includes their scientific knowledges like mathematics, astrology, magic remedies, also the practices which they used to do in that time, like the worship of evil spirit kind of things are also recorded in the Atharva Veda. And we get the first references of Ayurveda from Atharva Veda, and that is why Ayurveda is also considered as the Upaveda of Atharva Veda. Upaveda means sub-Veda or subdivision of Atharva Veda, and in some references Ayurveda is also considered as the fifth Veda because it is having also a great knowledge same like the similar to the Vedic knowledge. So, it is also considered as a fifth Veda. So, that is the first reference which we get about Ayurveda, and that is from the Vedic literature from the Atharva Veda. And after the Vedic period there come the three main authors of Ayurveda. Ayurveda, the term Ayu, it means life, and Veda means science or knowledge. So, Ayurveda, the term together, it means the science of life or knowledge of life. So, it is not just a treatment science, it is a science which teaches us how to lead a healthy life. So, Ayurveda is not just for a treatment of a disease, it is also to maintain a healthy life, how to preserve the health in a person. And the aim of Ayurveda is to conserve the health of healthy person and to cure the disease of a diseased person. So, it works in both preventive and curative aspect. So, it is used as a preventive measure and it is used as a curative measures to cure the disease. So, it prevents diseases to maintain the health of a person and it treats a disease to cure the disease. So, that is the aim of Ayurveda. So, the ultimate aim is to preserve the health for a healthy person and also for a diseased person to make him also healthy. So, health has its own definition, like the World Health Organization defines health as a state of physical, mental and social well-being. Ayurveda also gives a definition for health. It is a state of like the balance of the doshas of the body, the tissues of the body are properly formed and properly nourished in the body, and all the transformations in the body are proper. Also, the waste products from the body are properly eliminated out of the body, and also there should be clarity in our soul, in our mind and also in our senses. So, the clarity in our soul, mind and senses means like the things which we do should be clear, our mind should be clear, our soul should be clear. There should not be any affliction, not just the physical afflictions or the mental afflictions, also by spiritually also there should not be any afflictions. So, and also the sensory clarity means like the visuals which we get or the perceptions which we get should be clear, not just like we are seeing something clearly or just hearing something clearly. It also means the things which we have to perceive from that should be clear. So, the clarity should be in all aspects. Our mind should be clear, our soul should be clear, or our soul should be pure, and the sense organs or the sensory faculties of our body should be clear. So, this is the concept of health in Ayurveda. So, in Ayurveda we can like shorten it as like a health. It means like we have to be like physically well, we have to be mentally well, we have to be spiritually well and we have to be socially well. So, it is a also it defines the same, like it is a state of physical, mental, spiritual and social well-being. So, we should behave proper in a society, we should behave well with others, we should be spiritually sound, we should be mentally sound, and first like primarily we should be physically also we should be healthy. So, all these factors together we can say as health in Ayurveda. And as we said, like the Vedic period, after the Vedic period comes the three main authors of Ayurveda. The three main authors of Ayurveda are Charaka, Susruta and Vagpada. Charaka wrote Charaka Samhita, Susruta wrote Susruta Samhita and Vagpada wrote Ashtanga Hridaya. And these three are the three main books which even now we are studying for the learning of Ayurveda. So, in the Ayurvedic schools, these three texts are the basic text which we call it as Brihatrai. Brihat means like the great or legendary. So, that Brihatrai means three, or that three books which are the basics or the which on which the fundamentals are staying. So, the fundamentals are rooted in these three books and they are written by Charaka, Susruta and Vagpada. Of them, like Charaka and Susruta, they lived in a century like from 6th to 2nd century BC. So, their books, they are mostly contemporary, and also the Charaka was a person who gave information about the medicinal knowledge. So, the medicinal information is more seen like the diagnosis of a disease, its medicinal cure, and the herbal mineral preparations used to cure the disease is more explained in the Charaka's book called as Charaka Samhita. So, his Charaka Samhita book is a main book which is used for the practice of medicine in Ayurveda. The second book, Susruta Samhita, which is written by Susruta, is a book which gives more exposure to the surgical methods which were practiced in Ayurveda. Since Susruta was a surgeon, and his book gives more information about surgical methods and the surgical instruments which we use for the surgeries. And Susruta is considered as the father of surgery by the modern medical science also. And Susruta used to learn and teach anatomy by dissecting dead bodies in those days, and in those days doing something with dead bodies was considered as a sin or something some evil practice. So, he used to do this kind of practices in the deep forest which is away from the public, and he used to preserve the dead bodies under running water to preserve the dead bodies, and also to easily remove the layers of skin and other things, other tissues from the body. He used to preserve the dead bodies under running water. Also he used to teach dissection to his students by dissecting these dead bodies to show the anatomy of the body and also the structure of different organs of the body. And also he used to practice different kind of surgeries by without using any kind of anesthesia type of techniques which is available for the present science or for the present day science. So in those days also he used to do all these surgeries like laparotomic surgeries, eye surgeries, head surgeries, all these surgeries was done by Sushruta even without any kind of measures like this which is available today, and he used different techniques to do it more easily, like he used like drugs like opium or alcohol for the as a painkillers, or like he used ants for suturing. For example, the intestines, when he had to open the intestines, he used the ants to suture the intestines, which is like a bio staplers or like a biodegradable sutures. It's like when we open the abdomen, you have to open it again if you put a thread like a cotton thread or something. If you put to suture it, you have to open it again to remove the suture material. But a biodegradable material will get absorbed or it get digested inside the body. So ant is a biodegradable material. So he used ant to suture the intestines, and then he cut the head of the ant so that it stays like a stapler. By the closing the flap, he used to put the ant to as a stapler. So he doesn't have to open it again to remove the suture. So it heals by itself inside. And also some ants had a fast healing property also. Some enzymes from that triggers the healing process. So that also helping in the wound healing process. So the ant is a technique like that he used for the suturing. Also he defines and he explains the type of surgical instruments which he used, like its uses, its contraindications, and the way of usage he explains in his textbook. So his textbook is a detailed explanation about the surgeries or the surgical methods which he used in those days. And then the third book, which is Ashtanga Hridaya, which is written by Vagbhada. So the Ashtanga Hridaya of Vagbhada, it came like a little later after the Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita, and it dates to like 6th to 8th century AD, means after the death of Christ. So this is a later book. So we can see references from both Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita in the Ashtanga Hridaya. So Ashtanga Hridaya is a compilation of both, and we can see both like the Charaka's book. We can see the references from Charaka's book and Sushruta's book in Ashtanga Hridaya. So it's a book which acts as a compilation, and Ashtanga Hridaya is a compilation of Sushruta Samhita and Charaka Samhita, and also he added his own experiences and his own knowledge to that, because and Ashtanga Hridaya is more simplified form which we can understand very easily as compared to Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita. So it's in an easy to understand way it's written, and also he explained the Ashtangas of Ayurveda in Ashtanga Hridaya. As we know, like in yoga we have Ashtangas, same like there is a different Ashtanga in Ayurveda also. Ashta means 8 and Anga means limbs or organs or branches. So the 8 organs or the 8 specialities of Ayurveda is explained by Vagbhada in his textbook Ashtanga Hridaya. And Ashtanga Hridaya, he explains the 8 branches, 8 super specialities of Ayurveda, where or like which disease or which kind of practice we have to follow for that. So for example, the first one is like Kaya Chikitsa. Kaya Chikitsa means Kaya means body and Chikitsa means treatment or medicine. So Kaya Chikitsa means a system of medicine which deals with the general body treatments. So it's like the medicinal treatment of a disease, like for example we have fever or we have some body pain or something like that. So we take some medicine and get a medicinal relief from that. So this kind of treatments are explained in Kaya Chikitsa. The second one is Bala Chikitsa. Bala Chikitsa means, Bala means child, like Balasana, Bala means child. So Bala Chikitsa or pediatrics. So it's the treatment which involves the treatment of diseases which are coming to children. So Bala Chikitsa includes the treatment of diseases of children, and also the postnatal care of mother is also coming under Bala Chikitsa. And the third one is Griha Chikitsa. Griha Chikitsa, Griha means something which afflicts the mind and body. So this is more concerned with the psychiatric treatments of Ayurveda. So Griha Chikitsa involves the treatment of diseases like insanity, like epilepsy, kind of things which afflicts the body and mind. And the fourth one is Shalya Tantra. Shalya Tantra is surgery. Shalya means a foreign body, and Tantra means the techniques to extract this foreign body. So the Shalya Tantra, it includes the techniques by which, and this was mostly practiced in the war fields in those days. The war field, we used to, the surgeon has to remove some weapons from the body and to heal the wound. So for that they use techniques to extract this foreign body, and then they have to heal the wound to make him healthy again. So Shalya Tantra was practiced more in war field in those days. But nowadays we have different things like the Shalyas. Shalya means foreign bodies inside the body. So any weapon or anything, even a thorn or some prickles or even a needle inside our body, it's a foreign body for our body. So we have to remove this. Or even a growth which is coming inside our body, like a tumor or something which is coming inside, we have to remove it, we have to extract it. So this kind of techniques are involved in the surgical methods which is coming under Shalya Tantra. And the next one is Shalakya Tantra. Shalakya Tantra means the treatment of the diseases which are related to head and neck region. So the diseases for the eyes, nose, ear, throat, scalp, hair, face, neck, this region is treated by Shalakya Tantra. You can see there are so many sense organs are there, also there are so many sensitive organs are there. So to treat this we need some props to to evaluate the problems there. So it's mostly using the props and the other methods like that is used in Shalakya Tantra. So the diseases like eye problems, nose problems, throat problems, hair loss problems, headaches, this kind of techniques are treated. These kind of diseases are treated by Shalakya Tantra. And next is Agada Tantra. Agada means to remove the disease or remove the toxins from the body. So Agada Tantra means toxicology. Toxicology means we get different types of toxins in our body, even by the food, by some animal bites, some plant infections, or some anything we get toxins inside our body. So the ways to remove these toxins is coming under Agada Tantra, snake bite, spider bite, scorpion bite. So this kind of toxins which are entering in our body are treated by Agada Tantra. And then the next is Rasayana. Rasayana is the seventh one. Rasayana means rejuvenation, a science which is used for rejuvenation. Rejuvenation means the age reducing techniques, or it slows down the aging process of a body. Rasayana means to bring rasa to our body, or rasa to our body and mind, to bring youthfulness and vigor for us. So it's it is rejuvenating, or it is increasing the regeneration process of our body and reducing the aging process. So it's it's a techniques which we use to bring back the youth in our body. So it's also a different type of treatment system. And the last one is Vajikarana. Vajikarana Tantra. Vajikarana means it's the aphrodisiac science. So the science which we use for increasing the vigor, potency, usually for the sexual health, the diseases of sexual problems like infertility, impotency type of are treated by Vajikarana. And Vaji means horse and Karana means to make like a horse. So it means to bring the vigor in a person. So to bring vigor and vitality in a person is done by Vajikarana. So these are the 8 branches of Ayurveda which is explained and which is elaborated by Vagbhata in his book Ashtanga Hridaya. So Ashtanga Hridaya is a book which gives more information about these 8 branches, and it explains how to work on these 8 branches, what all kind of medicines has to be used, what all treatment procedures has to be used in these 8 branches, and the treatment protocols that we have to follow in that is explained by Ashtanga Hridaya, in Ashtanga Hridaya by Vagbhata. So these 3 are called as the Brihat Trais, or the 3 main books of Ayurveda. And even today we are following the three main books of Ashtanga Hridaya, Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita. And of each of them, like for each speciality, like the Charaka's book is used for the medicinal knowledge, Sushruta's book is more used for the practical surgical informations, and Vagphada's book is used to find, like to elaborate the 8 branches of Ayurveda or 8 limbs of Ayurveda. So this is how the Ayurveda, which developed after the Vedic period. So in the Vedic period, in the Atharva Veda, it gives like a introduction to the medicinal information or the introduction to the medicinal knowledge and some formulations are explained in the Atharva Veda. And after it is more elaborated in these 3 books. So these 3 are the 3 main books which gives the information of Ayurveda. So the first 2 are written in the like from 6th to 2nd century BC, and the third one, the Ashtanga Hridaya, is written in 6th to 8th century AD. So the Ashtanga Hridaya is more closer to our time. In the timeline, the Ashtanga Hridaya stays more close to our period, and we have like more like information about the medicines also in the Ashtanga Hridaya, which we can use more in our present day practices. And Ashtanga Hridaya is in a more simplified form, to easy to understand way. It's written in such a way to understand very easily. Also, in the Ayurvedic textbook, it like explains the origin of Ayurveda from Brahma. So as we know, like in the Hindu philosophy, we have 3 main gods called as Trimurtis: Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Of that, Brahma is considered as the creator of the universe, and Vishnu sustains or maintains the universe, and Shiva is considered as the destroyer or terminator of the universe. So Brahma creates universe, Vishnu maintains or sustains. Palana is done by Vishnu, and Shiva, who is doing the like the termination or the destroying. So it means like the force which creates, the force which maintains, and the force which eliminates the bad effects of the body. So these are the 3 forces we call it as Trimurtis, the 3 main idols of Hindu philosophy: Trimurtis, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Of that, the Brahma created the universe, and at the time of creation he remembered Ayurveda. So that means when we have to remember something, it should be before that. So at the time of creation, Ayurveda was already there. That's why he was able to remember it. So Brahma remembered Ayurveda and he passed on to his son Daksha Prajapati. Daksha Prajapati is the direct son of Brahma, and also he was an Aryan king. He we can say he's like a first person, like a first creation of Brahma. So he passed on this knowledge to his son, and from Daksha Prajapati he taught the science to Ashwini Kumaras. Ashwini Kumaras are the physicians of gods. So in the kingdom of gods, the physicians were Ashwini Kumaras. So Ayurveda was taught to Ashwini Kumaras by Daksha Prajapati, and from Ashwini Kumara, the king of gods, Indra is the administrator of the kingdom of gods. So he learned this science from Ashwini Kumaras, and Indra, he taught this to the sages like Atreya, Bharadwaja, etc. So the sages or the munis or rishis who they worshipped Indra, and they learned this science from Indra. So and they started their own schools. They started to teach their own disciples, and from this all these schools are coming, like school of Dhanvantari, school of Ayurveda, Charaka's Agnisha school of Ayurveda, like that. So this kind of from the knowledge which is coming from the Indras, then it is coming to the sages like Atreya Punarvasu, Bharadwaja, etc., Nagarjuna, this etc., and they started teaching their own disciples, their own students, and they started and they developed the science and they passed on this. So it's a divine science which comes from the divine people, or from the divine community, from the devas, from the gods. So, it is a divine science which inherited from the devas and then, or the gods, and then we are practicing it from Indra. It is coming to the human world, and from there onwards there are different schools of Ayurveda which taught in different ways. So, some are specialized in the medicinal information, some are specialized in the surgical information, like that they specialize. Some are in the medicinal work, so like some metallurgical work, like for example Nagarjuna, it's like more, has given more contributions in the herbo-mineral preparations, which is called as Rasa Shastra. Rasa Shastra is also a division of Ayurveda which gives more like importance to the medicines which are using some herbo-mineral preparations, not just herbal. Some mineral preparations are also coming, like especially mercury, sulfur type of things are also added in the medicinal forms. So, this kind of explanations are coming from the later schools which developed and which came to the earth from Indra. So, that is how the origin of Ayurveda is explained in the Ayurvedic text, and this is more like a story which is given to make people more believe and follow it very strictly. So, that strict following is needed in the Ayurveda, because it is a knowledge which is good for the community, and in that days the Hinduism was the prevalent religion. So, to force to people to believe it blindly or to believe it like very strictly, they used it as the science which is coming from the gods, and mostly like it is not like even if it is not like that, we have to believe and follow that by this divine science, because it is a science which developed by the research and analysis of different scientists of that age, which for whom we call it as Rishis. So, Rishis are actually the scientists who developed and recorded this information for the coming generations. So, it is a science which is good, so they introduce it in the form of a story by which it inherited from the divine people. So, that divine origin is for making people believe and follow it. That is about the origin of Ayurveda. Now, in the coming sessions we will discuss about the basic concepts of Ayurveda, like Tridoshas, Panchamahabhutas, Sapta Dhatus, Shadrasas. So, this kind of concepts we will be discussing. So, now we can stop it here. Thank you.